Well, we're back on the Promenade, and with me is Denis here from Paparazzi, and also the coffee shop where we're taping this upstairs. You got in contact because I hear you literally looked out there and you couldn't believe your eyes, because obviously we're on the Promenade.
Yeah.
Work's been going on now for a long time.
Well, it's been on my doorstep since the 1st of July 2019.
Slight issue though, you woke up and saw that you'd lost your areas outside parking?
Yeah, all the parking that was reinstated before has now been taken away again for, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks, no, 6 to 8 weeks probably.
But the notification you got to tell you this, right? Yes.
Yeah, but I couldn't open the email, so I didn't know what the email said, and it was sent on Friday, so I couldn't really actually
only on Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is just a general piece then, isn't it, about what's going on here and how it's affecting you, because we've been talking to various customers up and down the Promenade over this period. Give us your view on it.
Well, basically from day one, which was something that started before, I think the whole scheme should have been taken on board by Enterprise, Treasury, and obviously the DOI. And the communication issue before was really bad. It's got a little bit better at the moment, but my main gripe with everything that's been going on here is we've had COVID. A lot of the businesses on the Promenade have had this for many years now, pre-COVID, and the support has not really been there. They need to kind of wake up and actually see what's actually been going on in the Promenade with businesses. And obviously COVID's been affected, no TT for 2 years now as well, on top of that as well. So it's going to be a very, very tough winter. Very tough winter.
So sum up the difference between having the prom open usually on business and what you've been putting up with, because obviously it's tricky. I mean, you can park on the prom over there, can't you? So
that's the other problem as well. There's a crossing just here, which you can get to from the prom.
Yeah.
But that crossing in the last 22 months has been open for 3 months. So basically I've been stuck in the middle, like piggy in the middle. So you've got Granville Street, or you've got Athol Street where the post office is, to try and get to me. So it's gone from like a prime location to possibly the worst location on Douglas Promenade.
These side streets have been shut from time to time as well, which must have caused you a bit of a problem as well.
Well, they've been dug up about 3 times now already, so they seem to dig them up and then re-dig them again, just to keep themselves occupied.
We keep hearing this stuff. I mean, clearly there's a plan.
But I think that plan's been, to be honest with you, the plan I think has been rewritten several times. It just doesn't seem to be, there's no kind of action and there's no forward thinking in it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' money they're using. The whole idea, I'm presuming the whole idea for actually doing the whole promenade was for obviously infrastructure reasons, but I cannot see how this is actually going to be any benefit to infrastructure, to Douglas.
Do you think there'll be more parking or less, or
it's going to be less? There's
access?
Going to be less parking. So this prime location that we're actually here at the moment had parking on this side and on the other side of the road. That parking has just been halved. So obviously the infrastructure issue with having the horse tram system as well. I mean, 1940s up to 1980s, when tourism was boom time on the Isle of Man, there was 1 horse tram track. Now we've got no tourists and 2 horse tram tracks. So the whole thing is it's a bizarre, whoever actually thought of it, I'm bewildered why I didn't actually speak to stakeholders, speak to local businesses.
Well, you're only going to get 1 tram track for now anyway.
That's a positive.
Then they're going to come back and do it.
Well, there is.
I bet you must have dread when you hear that. They're going to come back and revisit this thing.
But see, the thing is, I can see exactly what's going to happen. I don't even know when they're going to finish. They say August 28th, and of course the ongoing joke is which year. So when they're finished, is that it? Are they going to be finished on August 28th and then basically down tools and walk off site? Is everything going to be back to normal? I can't envisage that actually happening. I really can't. Anything they come forward with is just, I don't listen anymore.
Well, you said communication was better though. So
it is
because that was the first thing, wasn't it? Initially, it was all over the place, or the lack of it completely. Yeah. So there's a positive there slightly, but of course it doesn't matter what happens there. What they tell you, you want this road finished and done with, I guess. Yeah,
but actually that's why I can't understand, because they actually resurfaced the road and they've actually come back a couple of months later to close off parking again to resurface it again. I don't understand why they just couldn't get it done all in one job.
The frustration when you look out and some days nothing is happening, of course, as well. We hear that up and down the prom.
It's like the wacky races, because anytime you come out, the road structure has changed, the road direction has changed. It's just bizarre. It's really bizarre. I feel sorry for the workers as well in the prom. because they must be scratching their heads wondering what they're actually doing today. They must wake up in the morning and go, what am I actually doing? Because everything just seems to change.
I think everyone seems to be misunderstanding maybe why they've done it this way, because obviously it seems so obvious to us lay people to do a whole section, move on to another section. But
I
that's not
understand.
the case.
Apparently, the reason why they had to close off large swathes of the promenade is because of what was actually underneath, you know, the piping work underneath. And I do understand that. But once the piping work's finished, get the resurfacing done in block stages and then move on and move along.
And how bad is this hurting then? I mean, obviously we lost the TT and everything, but yeah, I'm hearing all sorts of things from people that people aren't going near the prom basically. Although, as I said, there is parking over there now. It's just a little bit of a
But
bonus.
there's nothing to bring people into Douglas anymore. I mean, the high street, because of COVID, what's happened with COVID, and even pre-COVID, shops are shutting, stores are pulling out, businesses are going bankrupt. I mean, there's nothing actually, most of the stuff is done online. Without Marks and Spencer's and TK Maxx, I honestly think nobody would actually come into Douglas. And all this money is being invested into Douglas, the gateway onto the Isle of Man. But they need to be looking at something. If it was up to me and I was going to invest public money, I'd invest it into the sea terminal. Because I mean, that is the gateway onto the Isle of Man. I mean, when you arrive off the boat, it's not really a very pleasant, welcoming area to walk into. So I would have actually invested the money into that. I mean, the rest of the promenade did need some resurfacing works, did need some jazzing up, so to speak. But the whole investment of public money has been shocking. I mean, they want to promote Douglas Promenade and keep it as the Victorian setting and keep it Victorian. I mean, the lampposts they've got outside
not quite in style of what you thought.
Should be on a motorway, or they should be on an outdoor airport car park. One or the other. They do not belong on a Victorian promenade. Whoever actually designed everything, even the brickwork, everything. And I mean, no disrespect to any 3-year-old out there, but I'm sure they could have done a better job themselves. I mean, crayons and a piece of paper. The whole thing, the whole waste of public money. It's just a waste of public money. And I cannot actually see how this investment is actually going to come back to the people of the Isle of Man. I can't see it. I just cannot see it. If they think for 1 minute this investment on the promenade is going to bring people from all around the world to see the promenade in Douglas and the Isle of Man. Sorry, you can use
the horse tram.
Trip on the horse tram.
No. Have you had access to people in power? You know, the Mr. Blacks, who's in charge of Department of Enterprise, Department of Infrastructure, or ministers, Mr. Baker, and before that, Mr. Harmer. Did you have interaction with them? Have you been able to?
I've had interaction with them, and to be fair, with the Treasury have been very good. Department of Enterprise have been very cooperative, but they need to know that actually the work needs to be done now. I mean, a lot, like I said before, a lot of the businesses, the hospitality business especially, the hotels, the guest houses, I mean even the hairdressers and dry cleaners on the other end of the promenade, they've been affected massively. And then we've got the hospitality trade doesn't have TT for another 2 years. And then we've had to put up with this, with a downturn in business, because it did affect business. So we've had to put up with this pre-COVID. And then what they did is, which Treasury did and the Department of Enterprises, they've introduced schemes which will actually help with businesses. They've given grant schemes to actually do works on the outside of your property, because at the end of the day, when they finish this promenade, if businesses have been suffering, they're not going to be able to afford to go outside and paint their properties or make them respectable. So they've actually got a grant scheme in place for that, which they pay 50% of the costs of actually doing it, but you still have to stump up to 50%. Then they introduced an interest-free business loan of 50,000, which you have to pay over 10 years, but it's still negative equity on your business. And at the end of the day, that 50 grand is probably, for most businesses, gone because of COVID.
I suppose I'm saying, really, do you have faith in the leadership of DOI?
I have no faith in whatsoever in the DOI, none. Because, I mean, Mr. Harmer was very good. We actually sat down and he actually did push through a couple of things for me. I've had one meeting with Mr. Baker. I mean him no disrespect. I'm sure it's a very, very tough job what they've got to do. But from day one, like I said before, this has not been planned or thought out properly, and they've got no consideration for local business.
Which year is going to be finished?
Who knows?
It is this year, by the way. It is this year. Yes.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.